316, Unit 18.4, Disability Income Policy Riders. All right, so we have here a waiver of premium rider, Social Security rider, cost of living adjustment rider, and guaranteed insurability rider. This is going to be quick. I want to make sure you know. Social Security rider, guys, not tested, all right? All you need to know in case somebody wants to throw you a curveball in there is that it's not tested. All right, so let's start up here at the top. Waiver of premium rider, 1841. Waiver of premium rider generally is included with guaranteed renewable and non-cancelable individual disability income policies. Next line down, exempts the policy owner from paying, next line down, premiums during periods of total disability. That is the definition, guys. No joke. All right. Now, if you wanted a little bit more info, if you skip a line almost dead center, see where it says in some cases? I don't have this highlighted. Why? Because in some cases doesn't mean all the time, right? This is just to hopefully provide a little clarity on this. But the trend is to have the waiver applied to the entire period rather than just the benefit period, okay? So what that means, real quick, I don't want to explain it out, but if you remember, the benefit period is the period that you're getting paid out. There's also an elimination period where no benefits are due. That's what this is talking about. They just did a bad job talking about it, NAIFA. All right. So the trend is to have the waiver applied to the entire period. What's the period? The entire period of total disability. Okay. So that means during that elimination period, maybe it was 90 days of an elimination period. Okay. Once that 90 days is up, typically what's going to happen is the waiver is going to kick in, and whatever premiums you pay during those first 90 days are reimbursed. And then the next set of premiums that are coming in, you don't have to pay. Why? Because your waiver, I waived it for you. It's okay. You don't have to pay while you're totally disabled. Waived it. They waived it for you, right? Now, just a little housekeeping on the next one, the Social Security rider, which is probably not tested. Just highlight there, Social Security rider in the first sentence. Right under that, provides additional income when Social Security benefits have not yet begun, been denied, or amount less than benefit amount of the rider, okay? Remember, Social Security rider, that we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but Social Security is OASDI, old age, survivors, and disability income. So the money that you're kicking into Social Security, if you were fully covered, you have benefits, right? But remember, not everybody's fully covered. We'll get into that. This isn't about Social Security. But I just want you to know that what that rider is contingent on your Social Security benefits. So if you were denied, it kicks in. If, let's just say your Social Security benefits were a low amount, $1,000, and let's just say your rider applied, it covered you up to $2,000. Okay, well, Social Security paid the first 1,000, and then your rider would kick in. But it's not tested. And they didn't even mention it there. It's only good for people under 65. So next, cost of living adjustment. Hold up. This is right now. I don't know what today's date is. Today's date is January 18th. And I can tell you everything this year is a hell of a lot more expensive than it was last year. Cost of living adjustment, right? Now this definition here is kind of Yoda-esque. So what I want you to do first, let's just highlight that first line, cost of living adjustment, or COLA rider, and then skip a line, and then towards the end of the third line, benefit amount is adjusted right under that to reflect changes in the CPI. Right under CPI, trigger benefit increase. Not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this, but look, in that 1, 2, third line down right there in the beginning, let's put a little arrow there. Consumer Price Index, CPI, Consumer Price Index. Some of you guys might be financially savvy, all up into the, your Fox News money. Me, I'm always geeking out on the money station, right? So, it's a hobby. It's a hobby. I'm all like trying to be Wolf of Wall Street and whatnot. But anyway, on average, like it says here, CPI is usually like 4%. Once cost of living in an area goes up by 4%, it triggers and it gives you, as the insured, the ability to purchase more insurance coverage, okay? It's tied to that cost of living. So you're basically, as everything gets more expensive, you're able to go ahead and add to your policy, okay? Now, it's not like I'm throwing shade on Joe Biden or anything, but that 4% does not exist under the Biden administration. This year, we're almost at 8% of a CPI, cost of, a consumer price index increase. So that means inflation is outpacing. I mean, if you had a policy, you definitely want a cost of living rider on it because, I mean, if things stay like this, is your policy going to cover let's just say you need to use your policy down the road. It's not going to be as powerful as it is if it's able to keep up with the times. All right. Whoop. Next, page 317, section 18.44, guaranteed insurability rider. Guaranteed insurability. Let's just highlight this here. So highlight that big, bold letters. Second line down. Guaranteed insurability rider. Next line down, towards the end. Guarantees the insured the right to purchase additional amounts of coverage at times in the future without evidence of insurability. That means with that rider right there, you could be uninsurable and still be able to purchase additional amounts of insurance. Now, I do want to Scooby-Doo back up. No, that's Wayne's World, right? All right, so now we're back at 18.41, waiver of premium rider. Guys, in that first line right there, guaranteed renewable, and in the second line, and non-cancelable. Little housekeeping here. I just don't want you freaking out. Remember, I'm flashing for you. I'm running through this because I just want you to know where the key words are. But that should have been explained there a little bit better. So if you're in our notes, it's explained a little bit better. Why? Because I'm a little bit better at this than they are. Sorry, NAFA. It's not defamation if it's true. Look at your notes, look at my notes. But shh. I actually have to submit this to the Department of Financial Service. They got to approve it. So I'm only allowed to talk this much shiitake. I can't talk more than that. Anywho, so the guaranteed renewable. The difference between these two, they're both guaranteed renewable. However, non-cancelable is a little different because with guaranteed renewable, the insurer can actually increase the amount of your premium, but not just you. So let's just say it's me. I got a policy. I have a guaranteed renewable policy. That means that the insurer can go ahead and say, yo, Jay, all the people like you, all those dudes in their prime, I'm not singling you out. I'm raising the premium for everybody in your category. If you don't want it, you don't want that increase, then you can keep it the way it is. But your benefit's gonna be decreased to match. So guaranteed renewable, the insurer can put an increase. So let's just say I had $2,000 worth of benefits per month and they increase my premium. I don't want to pay it. Perhaps my benefit goes down to $1,800. And that's just an example, right? But with this non-cancelable, just remember, they cannot increase the price of your policy. Period. That's the only difference there, guys. All right. So what I want to do is we are done with that section. We still have to talk about group policies, right? But right here, I want to touch this key concepts on 18.6 at the bottom of 317. Let's just run through this real quick. Total disability means you are unable to work on a full-time basis. You are not You don't just have a slight limp. You cannot go to work. Period. Now, I do want to, let's jump over. We have the total disability. Then we have partial disabilities. Those don't even exist unless you pay for them, okay? And typically, the way a partial disability comes into play, let's just jump over to like a group situation, okay? In a partial disability environment, let's just say that's what we were talking about. We had the contractor, right? They were originally completely, totally disabled. Okay. And that part of the policy, what's that key word? Was rated under own occupation. So because I was a contractor, I hurt my shoulder. I could not go back to doing what I was doing, which means my policy pays because it was under the own occupation. That in a group environment for an employee is probably, let's just say for the sake of argument, because if it's usually, probably, or sometimes, then it's not tested, right? But what is tested is the transition. So if you started out on an own occupation setup, let's just say for the 2 years, after that 2 years, it goes to an any occupation definition, which means that contractor who can no longer swing a hammer might be required to hold that sign and be slow, stop, or pick up the phone. Hey, what's up? It's Jason, customer service. How can I help you? You know, which you don't really want to happen, so we got to find someone to probably be holding that sign, but you didn't hear that from me. So with that, when it switches from that own occupation to any occupation, that's when it's the definition of a partial disability is going to kick in. It's going to, that person, we're not saying that person can go back to work full time. So if they can only go back to work part time, then the partial disability will help subsidize that money there for them. Presumptive disability. Remember the monkeys. See no evil. Why? You're blind. You're blind. Okay. Hear no evil. Why? You're deaf. Speak no evil because you're mute. Man, the last thing is lose 2 limbs. Lose 1 limb. You're only partially disabled, all right? 2 limbs. Could be a foot, could be a hand, could be 2 hands, right? But it's obvious. If I don't have 2 hands and you tell me to go pick up that pen, I'm gonna be over here like this. I'm disabled, man. I can't use my left. I can't use either one. I'll be all elbows. All right. Over here, that was the presumptive, right? Residual disability. This one's easy. We're going to talk about this again when we get to Medicare. Medicare Part A requires us to talk about this recurring disability, right? And what that is that like today I get hurt. I recover. And I've been recovered for, let's just say, a couple of weeks, couple of months. And then my ailment comes back. Okay? Well, only 2 things that could happen there. Either I'm still in my first benefit period, which would be great because I'd still be covered and there would be no new elimination period. Remember that elimination period is where I'm responsible for my own expenses until my benefit kicks in, right? So if it's within a certain time period that's determined by the insurer, so we're not going to test time periods, okay? So if I'm within that certain period, then it's the same disability and there is no new elimination period. Flip side of the coin is, let's just say I'd recovered and I've been recovered for a little while and I'm no longer in that same benefit period. No problem, but that's where you're going to get a new elimination period, right? Because it's a new disability. That's the difference, okay? So it's either within a time frame that means, think about like you went to a restaurant, right? And you walk out the door, like get to the car and be like, oh man, I gotta pee. And you go back in. But you're in one of those cities where you can only pee in the restaurant if you've been a patron of the restaurant, right? Man, that's the same occurrence. I was already there. I'm going to be able to pee in the restaurant, okay? Now, flip side of the coin, if I go home and I come back the next day, like, yo, man, I came here yesterday. Can I use your bathroom? No, get out of here, man. Get out of here. So just think about that benefit period. Benefit period's over. So you'd have to buy something new. That's your elimination period. You had to buy your bills on your own until it kicked in. Waiver of premium. Remember, you're totally disabled. I am so sorry. I will waive that premium for you during your period of total disability. With that, remember, They said the trend, right? I just want to point that out. The trend is to have the waiver applied to the entire period. What that means is that you had the elimination period. Let's just say it was 3 months, right? After the 3 months, on the 4th month, they start paying you a disability income. Well, the waiver could just apply to that time. But the trend is to go ahead and once the benefits are payable, to reimburse you for those first months that during that elimination period where you were making your premium payment despite the fact that you were totally disabled. That is probably not going to be tested, but it was such an easy thing to slide in there that we just slid it in. All right. Social Security rider. What do we need to know about that? Not tested. Okay. So if you want me to review it, rewind, do it yourself. Cost of living is always tied to inflation. Okay. It allows you to increase your policy when the consumer price index hits a certain increase. It's starting to cost you more per year. 4% is about the average. All you need to know is that it allows you to increase your benefit amount at certain periodic times, and it's tied to inflation indexes. The last one here is a guaranteed insurability rider, and we just talked about that. What does it do? It allows you to go ahead and add more coverage without providing evidence of insurability. And my friends, when you see me again, we will be discussing group disability features. Group.